So what more detail can you give us about the folks behind this network of websites, what attacks they have already carried out, and what they planned to do?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Emily. Microsoft announced this week that we took down the China-based hacking group, Nickel. This has been a big week for fighting cybercrime for Microsoft and for our industry as a whole. And in particular, I'm really proud of the partnership that we had across the private and public sectors. Now, what Nickel was doing was they had malicious websites, and they were using these websites to get access and intelligence from think tanks and governments and humanitarian organizations from the United States, as well as 28 other countries. And by cutting off their access to these websites, we were able to protect the victims. This is a strategy, a legal strategy that Microsoft has used before to protect against thousands of websites, and we continue to look forward to do this in the upcoming years.
Now, U.S. officials have provided conflicting accounts on whether ransomware attacks are decreasing through the second half of the year. We certainly haven't seen as many as we did in the first half. Does Microsoft have any insight on that?
We see a really sophisticated cybercrime situation right now out there. In fact, in the last year, we've seen some of the most sophisticated attacks, some of the most frequent attacks as well, Emily. Some stats to share. We've seen a 150% increase in ransomware in the last year. Since March 2020, we've seen a 667% increase in phishing attacks. That means there's a link, you click on it, and the attackers get access to your system. So we don't really see cybercrime stopping. We continue to see that advancement across financial crime as well as nation state. In fact, a mind-boggling stat, there's 579 password attacks every single second. That means there's billions of attacks happening in a year.
And so you would say ransomware attacks are going to continue to accelerate?
I believe ransomware is the #1 threat that we face today, and I think it's going to continue to accelerate as we have more and more digital surfaces coming online.
Now, earlier this week, Vasu, the CEO of Crowdstrike, George KURTZ, joined us on the show. He says that users are losing trust in Microsoft products. They also put out a report to this effect. Of course, Crowdstrike is a Microsoft competitor, but I want you to take a listen to what he had to say.
I certainly hope that Microsoft is able to address some of their issues. I mean, we want the best security for the entire landscape, but at the end of the day, it's still a big problem in that a lot of the software they have is causing the issues, and their technologies are not able to keep up with defending against those attacks.
What is your response to that, and what are the attacks, SolarWinds, to the attacks on Microsoft's Exchange servers say about cybersecurity and Microsoft's products?
Well, thank you for sharing that with me, Emily. First, I want to just iterate that we are in one of the most sophisticated cybersecurity situations right now, with cyber attack sophistication increasing. We see attackers who are persistent, who are resilient, and they are relentless. We see attacks coming from everywhere. I shared stats around the 150% increase in ransomware, the 667% in phishing. We're seeing billions of attacks, and attacks come from anywhere. They can come through credentials being stolen on the dark web. They come through and click on a link, and they can happen to anyone. Every single person, every single organization is vulnerable to attacks. So saying anything else otherwise would be just irresponsible. Microsoft's philosophy has always been to be customer-centric, to focus on our customers, to deliver solutions that empower them and protect them. And we work with our community. In security, we work with more than 200 security vendors across the board. They are part of our Microsoft Intelligence Security Association, to solving the problem at hand. And it's really unfortunate when some vendors disparage other defenders, because right now is the time to come together to solve the problem and to fight cybercrime. And ultimately, I believe trust is about, sorry.
Finish your sentence, go ahead.
Trust is about, trust is about who you choose to be on the journey with you. And in the case of Microsoft, we have 650,000 security customers who have chosen Microsoft Security, increasing in 50% year over year. I think that's about trust.
So speaking of working together, then, what do you think the appropriate role of Microsoft is in helping to bring cyber criminals to justice, given what the Biden administration is also doing? Just a quick answer, please.
Yeah, we're working across the public and the private sectors for that. There are multiple things. One is offering comprehensive advanced security solutions, which we do. Second is building foundational security into the products using a zero trust architecture. And the third one is creating awareness and skilling. And as part of that, we're working with community colleges. And we just announced a major cyber skilling initiative working with the government to train people on cybersecurity.